So the present, the future, and the past is all now, right? It's all now. Because you can have a recall of something that happened to you, 30 years ago, right? And that biochemistry, you get that biochemistry kick, right? It's like that. Well, your chemicals changed, right? So our subconscious behavior doesn't know the difference of time. It doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So if you're making a recall from something that happened 30 years ago, it's the present because you can't control, right? You don't have any control of your emotions. So whatever you're thinking about is actually now. It's the present. It's a gift. The anxiety comes from comparing yourself to other people, right? So what I've done in my life is been able to alchemize the bad crap in my past, right? To make it something that's actually good because I help thousands of people around the world from my stories.
Hello and welcome back to another season of Optimized, the Prime Podcast. So today I'm here with my co-host Nasheed, who's all the way from Bangladesh, and we're starting up our season 2. Very excited. And I'd like to introduce you to my good friend Craig. We have had Craig before on our podcast, but unfortunately I did not have the skill to fix our audio issue. So I'm happy that he's agreed to come back on. And Nasheed, please introduce yourself and then push it all on to Craig, and we're going to get started.
Yep. Thanks, Craig, for dropping by. And it was like last time we had a discussions and we learned a lot about you and your passion. And I also saw a post about entrepreneurship just now, and I can't wait to share this to my stories. So I'm just following you guys, and I'm following you and your stories as well. And listen, I am following you as well. Don't worry about that. Yeah,
You
because you're
better.
looking at me like, okay, right, yeah. So looking forward, Craig, for great stories to start, and definitely all the listeners around us will be happy to hear all your stories and how you survive and some of the takeaways from your daughters and everything. To remember that, because I have two daughters as well. So yeah, can't wait. Over to you, Craig.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. I greatly appreciate being here with two amazing personalities. Yeah, that's it.
So, Craig, how have you become the hero of your own transformation?
Because I've been a villain in my own life for so long, I realized that things needed to change. And now I look at myself as being accountable and responsible for my own healing quest. I think most of us, we run away from who we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we sit in that mentality of what society says that we're supposed to do. And that always scared me. I always wanted to be myself, and I just didn't know how to get there. I had to walk through all my stories to alchemize everything in my life. And I've done that, but I also realized that, I mean, it's always an ongoing conversation with ourselves. So we have to, as we're upgrading and learning new things about ourselves, I think it's really important to look back and just appreciate that little child that we all have inside of us. And once we do that, that little child's going to look at us as the adult and be very proud from all the stuff that we've gone through.
That's very exciting to me because, I think everybody should already know, everybody in the world should already know that I love my inner child. I love the inner me that I had abandoned for so long and talked so badly to. And that's been a really incredible journey reparenting. And I really do believe that that is really where most of our stuff lies. And I'm glad that you understand that journey for yourself and have transformed that for you. I do know that you have a message to the world, and I love the message. I think it's a beautiful message, but I love it more when you say it because I feel it. So please, the world wants to know.
I believe that I'm here to disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. And I bring my message that's simple in its complexity. It's like we don't have time, right? We have to put our energies into us. We have to have a vested interest in our own healing. We have to be accountable and responsible, not for the things that have been done to us or the things that we've done to other people. It's just our own healing quest. It's like when we look in the mirror, there's one version of us that needs to die, right? Because we can't fill up our cup if it's literally full. We have to pour it out into others. And as we're pouring it out to others, we gain more wisdom. We gain more impact in this world. And that is, my root core of my message is I want to impact the world for people to understand that nobody laughs or cries in a different language. And once we share our commonalities rather than our differences, I think we can communicate better.
So we always talk about mental peace. We always talk about families, the high achievement, like strategic plan, how to become. And we always read the podcast and how to become a millionaire, billionaire. It's not going to be a matrix like you need to have a blue pill and red pill, and soon you become the one. But oftentimes we forgot about what is the health and things we have to look around, and we have to take care about that. So Craig, you have an amazing stories about one time of your life you were having a crisis about health issues and you survive, and you keep going on, and every day you're giving us a message like how to survive. And there are people around us like who is healthy maybe, or who is not, or who is maybe sufferings and everything, but the main agenda or main thing is the self-belief and self-trust, right? So similar things happen to everyone, but not everyone is overcoming like you, and not everyone is sending a message. Maybe there are thousands of people who wants to hear your message and can heal themselves, like, hey, I'm not the only one around the world. Maybe they're listening from Africa, maybe listening from UK, Australia, or something down the line, right? But share us how you survive and what's your message to day-to-day our lives, and those are healthy, right? How
We talk about the shiny stuff, right? We're all
absolutely.
attracted to the shiny stuff.
I like shiny
I believe
stuff.
I realized about me, right? I've been doing certain things my whole life and I just didn't know what it was, right? So like when I was molested as a kid and then being a drug addict and then coming up and, failed businesses and bankruptcies and divorces and losing houses and losing cars, I realized that I'm not any unique person. We all go through things. However, my uniqueness is how I'm able to alchemize it. And I realized that once we tap into our subconscious behavior, not our conscious thought, because when we're thinking about something, when we're awake, right, that's 5% of our day. And 95% of our day is driven by our subconscious behavior, the reticular activating system, the thing that is paying attention to everything that we do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what I learned was I needed to correct my behavior, and I started studying epigenetics. And when that really gave me an epiphany, I had a 9/11 appointment for a yearly physical. And I remember it was after I had my mid and lower lobe, my right lung taken out from 9/11 lung cancer. And I remember going to the doctor and she walked out after I had an x-ray and she just like walked out and she was like, hey, have you ever had a bad x-ray? And I was just like, she's going to tell me I'm going to be dead by Tuesday, right? And I had that feeling. I had that feeling in my chest and I just stopped it. And I was like, you know what? Whatever she's going to tell me is not going to wipe the smile off my face. It's not going to send me, back into anxiety and none of that shit. And come to find out that she didn't even have my paperwork. She didn't have any of my files. And she saw this big cloud. And that was what she was referring to as a bad x ray. She didn't even know that I had my mid and lower lobe, my right lung taken out. So she thought it was something, devastating and bad, and she's going to give me bad news. She didn't even have my paperwork. And that was the epiphany in my life because my internal biochemistry did not change. I didn't get that flutter in my chest. I didn't get any of that. And I was like, my God, this stuff actually this works.
Yeah.
And I've continued on that to where, I had a knee surgery in 2024 and in September. And in November of 2024, my knee still wasn't healing. And it was the fourth time that a doctor had actually said, listen, I think you're going to be treated for synovial sarcoma. And I was just like, and that was it. It was like 5 minutes later, he addressed me and he's just like, I want to know, because that's the first time that I ever gave somebody that diagnosis. And he literally said, and you fucking laughed in my face. And it was like, well, it was not my first rodeo. They told me 2 other times that I was potentially being treated for male breast cancer. That's embarrassing all on its own, right? Because it's like, I had a buddy of mine used to tell me, he's like, male breast cancer. He's like, one day you'll get a real manly cancer, like, because that's how we joke around. And I've been able to alchemize these things in my life because I put the time and energy into who I am. You know,
Yeah.
I got divorced. I sold my farm. I moved down to Mexico. Couldn't afford the health insurance in the United States, and not being able to afford the $1,900 at that time. Now they want $3,900 with a $10,000
Mhm.
deductible. And it's like, how do you spend $4,000 a month, and then on top of that you have to pay $10,000 for your deductible? So I came down to Mexico to get my shit together to actually alchemize the rest of my quest. And what I'm realizing more than anything is I'm very resilient, and I was born this way, and I'm just figuring out this path now at 60 years old. So I encourage people to really tap into yourself. You have to do the deep, dark work. You have to do that shadow work to alchemize all the things, because we're all going through crappy things in this world, right? We all go through devastating events. We all have this pain, misery, self loathing, self sabotaging behaviors, the emotional insecurities. We all have them. However, I just don't concentrate on them anymore. I was having that victim mindset. And like I said, I've lived in different cultures, and I realized that nobody laughs or cries in a different language. And that brings me to a different level of who I am. Because I just talk about my experiences and nobody else's.
Right. Craig, your story to me, it is so beautiful because it's almost like, and I can see your whole life as you talk about it and the different pivotal points. But it's also because I've gone through similar pivotal points myself and faced those shadows that I can actually be able to truly relate to you. And I feel like if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be able to have a conversation because nothing you would be saying would make sense, or my resistance and my blocks would like prevent us from even be able to be in dialogue. And so it's really a testament to the work that the other side of the journey, even though it's an ongoing journey, there's two sides of it, one where I'm a victim and the other where I'm completely the creator of my reality and the self-belief that comes with that. So I really think that I believe in your message, and I fully appreciate that you're able to share from a space that is an experience and this is what I've learned from it. But when I was going through it, it sucked as hell. But now on the other side of it, it's,
Always.
and then you got to the point, even when it did suck, you took the opportunity to look at it that, okay, this is just another thing that I need to get through and I can do it. At least that's what it reflects back to me. I am curious though about I don't know too much about this. The 9/11 cancer. What exactly is that?
So whatever we've ingested, what I had was a really rare cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of people are getting are really rare cancers. For breast cancer, male breast cancer, it's like whatever stuff we ingested. Like I hit the wrong lotto. And what I mean by that is I was only there for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there to be seen by doctors or VCF, Victims Compensation Fund. You needed to be there 4 hours of the first 5 days, I believe. And I was there 2 days of the first 5 days. So I hit the wrong lotto. And as my body started to fall apart, I mean, they took my gallbladder out. It was just packed with sand.
Do you have
Like it was
any
just one
organs at
rock.
all?
Gonna leave that one alone.
Oh my God, I just realized what I said. Oh no.
Yeah, I still have some. Yeah, I still have some. I'm walking around like most days when I wake up, I can't feel my legs because I have a lot of disc issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I have nerves pressing against my disc pressing against my nerves because for the longest time I couldn't sleep properly. I had to sleep like sitting up on a couch
Mm-hmm.
for years at a time, like different parts. Sometimes I'd be able to sleep, sometimes I couldn't, and it was from the excruciating pain I was in for 6 years following my surgery. And when they took my mid and lower lobe and my right lung out, I realized that I was walking around with a collapsed lobe for 5 years.
And you had no idea.
And I said, well, I knew it was collapsed. I just didn't know like if they fixed it until I until I saw a friend of mine, husband, who was an ER specialist, and he was reading my files and stuff, and he was like, "Did they reinflate your lung, your lobe?" And I was like, "Come to think of it, no." And he's like, "Well, you were walking around with that for 5 years." And here's the thing: So when I had they did a flexible bronchoscopy and a rigid bronchoscopy before I had my 9-hour surgery. And what happened was they did a biopsy and they nicked the carcinoid tumor, and that sent everything through my body, and it almost killed me. It made me sick for like 7 to 10 days. I was in the hospital, and what happened was, and I thank my lucky stars, the collapsed lobe actually caught all the stuff that was spewing out.
Wow.
So it was like, it was pretty amazing. It was
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And, I'm here because I have this message. It's the only reason why I know I'm here, because I should have been dead a long time ago, many different times. I can't tell you how many times I went to the ER. I still have Barrett's esophagus. I still have GERDs. And this is all 9/11 related. And my cancer is one of the, I believe it's 68 cancers that are related to the World Trade Center.
So when it comes to the World Trade Center, I'm sorry, the 9/11, you were working there?
Actually, I was a volunteer.
Uh-huh.
I was renovating 2 houses in downtown Jersey City.
Okay.
And me and my daughter's mom, we were actually getting married in Florida
Okay.
in October of 27th. So that was the only reason why I went there and never looked back. However, I started getting sick in 2012. Never knew anything. People used to tell me you have to call these lawyers, it's a big thing and all of that. But I was like, I was only there for 2 days. So, I mean, come on. I know guys that were there for months. And like I said, I just hit the wrong lotto.
So there's a lot of people from the 9/11 situation that ended up having cancer
I'm one of tens of thousands that are sick and dying, and nobody really cares.
from that event?
Oh yeah, there's like 50,000, 60,000 people that are sick and dying right now.
I didn't even know that. I had no idea that that was that big. It's interesting. But you look, I'm sorry, Nashi, did you have something to say? Because you know me, I'm gonna talk.
No, really?
He's speaking today. I'm just a girl. Eat a girl.
Right. Yeah,
We could sit here and discuss that.
we can sit and discuss, right? Yeah, after the podcast and others, right? But definitely, yeah. So it's related to the 9/11, and you have the health issues, and you can overcome and everything.
I've been in construction my whole life, right? So I mean, my back has been jacked forever. However, just not being able to lay down properly for years, being bunched up on the couch or sticking pillows behind your back and all of that, it's just as well as my legs, because I've had I don't know how many knee surgeries. Right, my hips are bad.
Mine don't lie.
It's just wild. It's a wild ride. Oh man, I can't even.
You're
I
like,
can't even look at you right now. I can't even look at you right now. You just keep leading into these other conversations.
I'm not a very good podcast guest at this moment. Not the host. I'm sorry. This is serious stuff that we're talking about here. Craig's pain.
No, we have to laugh, man.
Yeah.
No, everybody's got
Yeah,
pain.
man. I love it
Everybody
when
has
he says
pain,
man
man.
at the end.
What?
I love it when you say man at the end. God, we have to, man.
Have to.
Yeah. I'm gonna encourage everybody that's listening to this podcast to go and follow Craig, because
Follow me right off the cliff.
they're gonna be in good hands though, because they're gonna get like a lot of wisdom, a lot of guidance, a lot of truths. They're definitely gonna be out of their comfort zone.
We have to get out of our comfort zone. Our comfort zone is not going to save us. I believe we have to get radically uncomfortable being uncomfortable.
I agree.
That's how we're going to change our lives. And we all need to change something in our lives, right? And I think once when death no longer scares you, I'm not afraid to die. I think God, universe, whatever, has a funny sense of humor. Can't wait to meet him, but I don't want to go right now. I have a lot of things that I'm still looking to do. But I mean, like, all I want people to do is like look at themselves and take themselves less serious. Because we're all concentrating on careers and we all can be broke and all this. The happiest people I've ever met don't have a lot of material possessions.
Yeah.
They just, whatever they have, they appreciate. I think globally right now, we have so many people, so many parents passing their failures down to their kids in the hopes that those failures become the kids' successes, and it's leaving generations stuck. And it's like there's so many narcissists out there in this world that don't really care It's all about, look at me. How are people going to perceive me? You know, if I don't drive that Benz, or I don't. I just saw something the other day that was kind of interesting. It was from this Jadid Patel. I was watching what he was talking about, and he's like, what most people don't understand is I could drive around in a Toyota Corolla that's 15 years old, but I could have $10 million in real estate. I could walk around with clothes from Walmart, and most people want to buy things to impress people they don't even like with money they don't even have. I found that very interesting because while I was dying at the time, I was kind of sad because I was like, well, what am I going to leave my daughter and my ex-wife? Like, because there wasn't enough steaks in a freezer. There wasn't a lot of material possessions. We sold everything. We went bankrupt. Like, just never ending bullshit story. And what I realized was what I was leaving in them, right? It was the message that I had for my daughter. And I always was like, I felt like I was gypping them out of their life, you know, because they're watching me go through all the stuff I'm going through. And what kind of life is that? It's not. But I also believe I was repeating a cycle because my mother was sick for like 16 years before she passed away.
Mm,
And so it's that whole generational thing.
yeah.
I really do. And I'm looking at my life now and I'm like, yeah, I have to have certain things in my life, but I'm appreciative of this little studio I'm in. I call it
Mm,
my lab because it's like I just put up my boards. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 13 2-foot by 3-foot white papers on my wall
yeah.
because I'm doing this caravan for cancer around the United States
Mm-hmm.
for the 25th anniversary of the World Trade Center. So it's a project that I have to get healthy for mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, right? So I'm leveling up in my life and I encourage people to level up in theirs. You know, take the accountability and responsibility, changing how you feel because it's all about states that we put ourselves in. So if we're not controlling our emotional chemistry, we're screwed.
Yeah. And this project that you're doing, it's really inspiring, especially 25 years. Like, wow, I hadn't even realized that that's such a huge, gosh, it's been so long. It really has been. I recall when my daughter was just born. So this project is really exciting. I know you've told me a little bit about it, and so what kind of support do you need from that? Like, or how would you feel supported in this endeavor, just in general?
I'm taking the dice and I'm throwing it on the table. I'm
Okay.
taking all the ideas I have and I'm throwing it up on a ceiling. Whatever sticks, sticks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to be a 20-city tour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing podcasts, morning shows. I'm going to be doing live just reviews of
Yeah.
whatever I'm doing on the road. I'm taking an RV to 20 different cities. The intent is to roll up on September 11th to Good Morning America. And, you know, I wasn't there for like the name callings. I've never been. And I want to lead because I'm looking at the thing right now. It's about podcasts, it's about sponsorships. I was going to go a corporate route, but I'm doing a grassroots thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things if you could share my GoFundMe, send me $1, you know, because I don't want corporate structure because as soon as corporations get involved, then they take over. And it's like, nah, man, I'm my own brand. You
Yeah.
know, I'm taking this because I want to interview people that have illnesses, you know, and then I'm turning it into a documentary.
Mm.
It's like a one man's quest across America to help Americans, right? And people around the world because I know it's going to gain legs because it's just one of those things that I've been on social media for so long and it's really not about me. I understand it's bigger than I'll ever be. You know, my message is bigger than I'll ever be. And I have a lot of eyes on me now because people are just like, is he going to do it? Will he
Yes,
do
he
it?
is. Of course he is.
I'm being it, you know, and that's one of the things, and that's one of the things that I encourage people to be who they want to be instead of what society has said that you can't be, you know, and that's why I'm doing this quest.
You mentioned generational oof, don't know what am I doing. You mentioned generational trauma, and I'm very familiar with that in my own entire life of how I have participated in that, and choosing to change that. I call it transforming the cycles, and not only breaking it but completely transforming it. And I feel like that is part of our journey is to create generational blessings. Whatever we pass on now, that becomes something new, that it's doing it differently. So as we As you're now on this journey to travel those 20 something states and put your message out there, what is it that you would like for your legacy to be?
They never stopped. They never stopped. I'm very resilient, and I want people to tap into their being resilient, because we're all going through something now.
Yeah.
Everybody, and we're not alone. And it goes all across the world, man. All cultures, and like we have different cultures around this volcanic meatball. And every time we run into another culture, it's about things that people don't understand. That's why there's so much friction, right? That's why there's so much hatred. That's why and it's just like, no, we have to start talking about our commonalities rather than our differences. And once we're able to communicate better, we're gonna have better relationships. We're going to have better businesses. We're going to have better marriages. We're going to have better communication with our kids. I think we just have to stop and just take accountability for our own shit. And stop passing it on to other people. Stop passing it down to the children, because that's where they learn it from, right? So we're programmed from 0 to 8 years old. Our reticular activating system, our subconscious behavior is just like, I call it a cyborg, because it's always awake, always. And what I realized during this quest is that when you learn so much more when you're sleeping, because your conscious thought isn't there. It's not, I'm judging this or I'm doing that. No, you're
No
knocked
ego.
out. Zero.
Yeah.
Right? Because the ego is edging God out. And it's like one of the best things that I've ever experienced was I was living in the bush of Jamaica with somebody that was savant, and he showed me what the human mind can do and how far you could push it. So if we could do that for ourselves, imagine the projects that we could accomplish with the help of everybody. I'm not a self-made guy. I'm part of whoever helped me.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to realize that, because I see people, oh, he's self-made. And it's like, no, daddy gave you $5 million, man. That's not, you have a whole team helping you. So how can you say you're self-made? And people are very fragile mentally, right? Because we all have these traumas. We all have these triggers. And people ask me like, well, how do I get over my trigger? You got to sit in your triggers. You shouldn't have any triggers.
You can't run away from them.
That's exactly it. People run away from who they are.
Yeah. I had this experience. I mean, that the sitting with the trigger part, I feel is a big missing piece. I feel like people try understand mastering emotion as not having it or running, not acknowledging it. Oh, well, that was then. I'm not going to go back there. I'm going to live in the now. Well, I think that the now, it still shows up. It shows up in how we care about each other. It shows up in how we care within ourselves too. Ultimately, we need to be able to get to the space where we can sit down with someone and something that they say isn't offensive enough that I need to walk away from the connection, because I would be responsible there for we can't co-create anymore. We're not going to be able to support one another anymore because it's dead, because I have emotions and someone else is not trying to understand that, or even they don't have to be in my emotion, but also that's where a lot of compassion and empathy, these are all our experiences that make us human beings, and understanding them and not letting them become us has been incredible. And not looking at it, I find that when I wasn't looking at emotions, I couldn't appreciate the emotion in someone else. So when someone's sharing something vulnerable, I couldn't relate because I have no idea what they're talking about. And I would offer them solutions, or I would interrupt whatever they have going on without meeting the human being behind of it. And so that's one area that I find that, it's not about mastering the emotion, is not having it, is being able to have it and not stop yourself from doing anything else while you're going through whatever you're going through, but alchemizing it, like you always say. Do you have anything, Nasheed?
Yeah, absolutely right. I was thinking it's something like oftentimes, like what I read your stories or what I heard your stories and everything, like oftentimes we think about, most of the people, we think about the future, right? We think about the future, like how we can go, how we can get on there, and how we can go from point A, point B, wealth wise, health wise. And then we forget about the present, and we always trying to fight for our past, what we are not achieving, whom to blame. Is it us? Is it the family? Is it my wife? Is it my daughter and everything? And at the beginning of the podcast, you rightly mentioned that we pushed all our failures to our kids and everything, and the kids will not grow. Like they grow with the failures of their parents and everything. So coming back to your stories, Craig, what I understand or what we understand is something like you never ever think about your past or never ever think about what future will come, because you've been dealing with so many ups and downs, so many things, right? So many, from the health, from the marriage, from the life, from the business and everything. So there are audience of the people, right, who is also suffering less than you, more than you, similar than you and everything. But I want to hear the message from you. Like, is it the one is always fight for the present, right? And when you correct the present, like what you did in your life, and then future will automatically come, and you don't have any hatreds or anything about the past, which will really stop your presence and everything. What thoughts fighting all the struggles, like be it on your business, be it on your life, be it on your health, is it the same thing what I am telling, that the present is the precious one rather than the future and the past, or is it something else?
So the present, the future, and the past is all now, right? It's all now. Because you can have a recall of something that happened to you, 30 years ago, right? And that biochemistry, you get that biochemistry kick, right? It's like that. Well, your chemicals changed, right? So our subconscious behavior doesn't know the difference of time. It doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So if you're making a recall from something that happened 30 years ago, it's the present because you can't control, right? You don't have any control of your emotions. So whatever you're thinking about is actually now. It's the present. It's a gift. The anxiety comes from comparing yourself to other people, right? So what I've done in my life is been able to alchemize the bad crap in my past, right? To make it something that's actually good, because I help thousands of people around the world from my stories. So I have no emotional attachment to my stories, like zero, right? So I can freely talk. So I don't come to conclusions anymore about anything, simply because if Laziana tells me something and you tell me something and it's two different stories, right? Well, it's two different experiences. Where am I going to go with it?
Right.
Through my experience, right? So I have to alchemize it from my own wisdom. You have your wisdom, she has her wisdom, right? And it's like, but the only thing I could do is alchemize me. And people like, you say you're an expert in human behavior. Yes, because I'm an expert in me. We're all human, right? Like, well, you don't have a degree. Yes, I do. It's just not a piece of paper, right? It's life experience.
Right.
So as I'm going through my life, I've realized many different things that have brought me to this present where it's a gift and I open it up, right? Most people don't want to. And the future, I don't even look to the future because I understand that's a theory. That's something entirely beyond me, simply because if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. You can lay all of this stuff out. When I lived in Mexico the first time, went back to launch my book and my speaking career, and I was battling cancer the whole time I was there. So it's like, now I look at things where it's like I have a cancer survivor, thriver mindset. If I run into an obstacle now, it's like, number one, I don't have cancer. Number two, this is nothing for a fucking giant. And I'm a giant. And when I walk, people are going to feel my footsteps. I'm going to make an imprint around the world because I am that light, and it pisses off people's dark because they look at me and they be like, you've been through so much stuff. We've all been through so much stuff. I've just been able to alchemize the nonsense because I understand my message is bigger than I'll ever be, right? So if I'm creating the legacy for myself, what is that? Well, I have a 20-year-old kid that watches everything that I do. So if I'm, not in the best financial position, right? My mindset doesn't change because I know it's like, oops. I remember my accountant one time told me I spent $1 million. All I was doing was going back and forth from Florida to Georgia to buy materials for 2.5 years because we got hit by 2 hurricanes in 3 weeks.
I remember that.
And it was like I can't even remember. Like I spent $1 million. Well, I bought a property in Mexico. I bought my office. I bought my house. But I wasn't looking at. I never had $1 million. So why am I looking at certain things, right? You have to alchemize everything in this world, man. And you have to understand once you have that faith in yourself, your external world's going to change because our belief system is constantly working. It's constantly upgrading. It's seeking what you're seeking is seeking us.
Yeah.
So to walk that parallel life, you got a quantum leap. You got a quantum time jump.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to tap into the quantum field. This is the only real estate we can own. And when people start to realize that, all the other crap means nothing. You got to be grateful for what you have exactly now.
Beautiful message, Craig. I appreciate that. Very, very
Thank you.
passionate too. I love it.
True.
I see what I see in you that I see in me is someone who has definitely done a lot of amazing work. And the other side of it is not just, okay, I have a different mindset. It's a way of being. It's just a state of being. It's really awesome to witness. And I appreciate you sharing with us today all of this amazing nuggets. Really cool.
Thank you. We have to change our states. We have to.
Absolutely.
That's the only way we're going to learn and grow.
Yeah, and talking about your 22 years old daughter, right? Since I have two, right? And it's not about I have two. It's something like what I see from the daughter's point of time. They're the ones who is like the most encourageable ones for your day-to-day life. And they're really passionate about how you're growing. And as a dad, what we see is like we are the only ones who always want our kids, our daughters to be more than us. Even though we are 10% successful in our life, we want our kids to be more than that, more than 50%, more than whatever. There should be any numbers like that. So coming back to your life, like how your 22 years old daughter is having a 20, right? 20, yeah. So having a very great influence in your life or your career or your health issues or whatever you are right now, and how she's putting her efforts to your day-to-day life. And this is the one I'm asking you to share the messages or the stories so that the people around there, maybe they will can relate, and they can have like, okay, I'm not doing the right stuff, let me do that one. So how is she doing, and how is she is helping your day-to-day life, and what are the encouragement you are seeing and from her?
So she's 20. She goes to college, right? So that being said, she's 20. So I send her like all this goofy Instagram stuff that she never responds to, right? Because she's a 20-year-old, and I'm being that dad. I live in Mexico. She lives in the United States, right? But she knows that I'm here. Like the way we both look at it is like, if your kid goes to college anyway, you're not going to see them that much, right? So I came down here to get healthy because I want to work with my daughter once she graduates and share my experiences, right? All of them. But I want to share my experiences with her, but not throw them on her. You know, like I want her to be her own individual sovereign person, and she is. And she reminds me that she is because you know, I mean, we used to battle all the time because there's so much alike, right? And it used to hurt me that I used to think that I was gypping her in her life, and it was like because you're looking at your dad, who's supposed to be, you know, the daughter's first love, right? She's the one you're gonna be picking the guy based off of your dad, and you know, I wanted to make sure that I was a model dad, and I wasn't because we're not. You know, I look at my daughter every time I see my 20-year-old daughter, I'm still seeing this little baby, right? Because she's always going to be my little baby. And I tell her all the time, I don't care who you come home with because that's your life. However, you know who I am. I'm definitely going to mess around with this guy. 100%. You know, it's because that's my personality. I look at kids and it's like we need to pay attention to the kids because they're really smart and we can't lie to them, especially daughters, because it's like they're going to find their mate they're going to walk through life with. And I see so many issues in so many families because families just want to buy things. I'm very fortunate in this respect because I couldn't afford to buy things. So it was like I was embarrassed, right? High achiever. I couldn't even pay the electric bill. I couldn't even pay the rent. Had to sell everything. Had to go bankrupt. Well, this kid was watching the whole thing. So I felt at a time like I was a loser, like I was a piece of shit because I couldn't up level myself, right? Because she doesn't remember when we did have money. But now she's in for a different treat because as I'm moving up in my story, so are my finances. And I believe when you walk into that parallel life, but you have to be gracious with what you have now. And I really do. I did a podcast with my buddy Adam, and I was telling him, I was like, I really believe that I needed to be knocked back down to my knees, financially, mentally, just health-wise, everything, so I could re-alchemize, charge my battery. So when I stand up again, as I'm standing up, and I'm being taught how to stand up by a guy with no legs, my buddy Robert, he has no legs. And I see what he does every day. Like, he figured out life that 99% of the people on this planet couldn't even figure out, because he had to figure things out because he couldn't do anything. I watched this guy, he drives trucks, heavy equipment. Like, he does so many amazing things. And just talking to him, makes me feel better about me. And when he talks to me, it makes him feel better about himself, because we run similar lives. I just want people to find mentors. You could find a mentor in your child if we pay attention and listen, because kids are very smart, man. It's not about what you're buying them. It's how much time you're putting into them. And that was the one thing that I realized. I became a Les Brown Power Voice speaker in 2020. And what I realized, and what Les had told me, it's like, Craig, you got this beat. All you got to do is stay ahead of the chalk outline. And that's the reason why I make my potions and concoctions, and I research like what the body can alchemize, like through our cells. And I'm just a different person now. I'm just an entirely different being than who I was. So from this point of starting out, right, to this thing to be the high achiever, I became the shaman from Jersey in the process. And I believe everybody can alchemize this stuff. Once you put the sweat equity in, man, you got to put the time and energy into yourself. I don't do this for my kid. I don't do it for my kid's mom, my brother, or my family. I do it for me. And that's where we are right now. We have to do things for ourselves. It's called self-respect. It's called personal development. It's not group development. Group development comes after personal development.
That's a good
Cameron,
one.
thank you so much. It was really great having you on. Thank you very much for your time. And if you would send me any information about your van experience, I'm happy to share it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm putting it all together
Yeah.
now. I'm going to be launching. I'm going to be going public with it the 28th of March.
Okay, perfect.
Because I'm just figuring out. I'm going to create a GoFundMe and just put it out there.
Yeah.
Just put it out there, and then whatever happens, happens. But I know exactly what's going to happen. It's just going to move forward.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to quit. I believe I'm designed for this.
I agree. It is definitely your calling. I can see that.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening to our season 2 of Optimize the Prime podcast. Craig, it was a big pleasure of mine to have you on here today. And I can't wait to continue our conversations later. And for anyone that is listening, if this resonates with you, please share it. Stalk Craig.
Yes, because that's what I want. I want stalkers out of this.
And we will see you on the next episode.